Oh my god, hey! Welcome back to my kingdom of stagey isolation. If you're seeing my face for the first time, my name is Mickey Joe and I'm obsessed with all things theatre. Musical theatre, plays, opera, well not opera. Specifically the first two, the musicals and the... We'll move on. Today I want to talk to you about the show I saw most recently in London. I've been very, very lucky to be able to see a bunch of shows since theatres started slowly reopening. They're all kind of doing their own thing. You've got regional theatres reopening, you've got a few London theatres reopening, smaller venues, and this is one of London's premier fringe venues, the Southwark Playhouse, that has reopened with their revival of The Last 5 Years. I went to see The Last 5 Years at Southwark Playhouse and I liked it. Here is my review. This jingle's gone too long. Should I stop singing? I'll stop singing. So, some backstory to this. My relationship with The Last 5 Years, I love this show. I've seen a bunch of live versions of the show. I've been in this show. This is my show t-shirt. I played Jamie. Ovs. If you don't know this show, it's a two-person musical written by Jason Robert Brown about a relationship between these two people over 5 years. Spoiler alert, it deteriorates. And we see his story, Jamie, moving forwards in time, alternated with her story, Cathy, moving backwards in time. And that's the whole conceit of the show, is that you start with her heartbreak and his optimism and it ends in reverse, and they meet at the middle and it's all beautiful and it's lovely. It's a song cycle, so it's more or less completely sung through. There's a couple bits of dialogue in there, but they're naff anyway. No one is going to The Last 5 Years for that one bit in the second half when he reads the book. Like, ugh, I can't even talk about it. But we'll get to that. So I was originally meant to go and see this production back in March, I think the week after lockdown happened. I had tickets to go and see the show and then it got cancelled. So I was really excited when they announced that they would be bringing it back. The set has literally been waiting for them in the venue. They never had the chance to do a proper get out when everything shut down. So it's this really great homecoming, I imagine, for the cast and the crew and the creative team and the producers to be able to go and finish this unfinished business they had with this show. They had a second press night. I was actually there the night before press night. If you want to know a more full and coherent and less videoed version of my review, you can go and read that on my blog at mickeyjoetheatre.co.uk. So because of all of the stuff going on at the moment with social distancing, both on stage and off, Last 5 Years has been a really popular show to produce. There was a version of it that toured down to the Minack Theatre in Cornwall. There was a version of it that was made available online that Lauren Samuels and Danny Becker recorded in their own homes separately. This version is particularly special because it's an actor-musician version, and that means as well as performing and singing on stage, the actors are accompanying themselves on musical instruments. For this production specifically, it means there's a giant, beautiful grand piano on a revolve in the middle of the stage that slowly turns around, and they play the piano parts for a lot of the show while the other person is singing, or sometimes they accompany themselves on a guitar, or a ukulele, or a giant tubular bell. It's really cleverly done. All the actor-musician stuff is cleverly done, but it's a huge ask because not only are these songs some of the hardest to sing in musical theatre, because they're now accompanying themselves, A, they don't get to leave the stage, and B, they have to play this piano part, which is also one of the hardest piano parts in musical theatre. Like, it's famously difficult. The very notion that Ollie Higginson, who plays Jamie, has to accompany even a bit of moving too fast while he is singing it at the same time is just ridiculous to me. I would have flatly refused if that was me. I found it hard enough to sing the damn song and like walk at the same time because that's just ridiculously difficult. It's too hard, Jason. It's too hard. But they made it look effortless and super easy, which, you know, you've got to resent them when they're that talented. You really just have to hate that. So Ollie Higginson played Jamie and Molly Lynch played Cathy. They were an amazing cast. I don't think I've ever seen a production before where there was such great chemistry between them, and I don't know if that was because they were able to have more time actually together on stage, like in each other's orbit. And I think the bond they make by accompanying each other, by supporting each other in each other's songs, is something you don't normally see in this production. Normally the two stories are very isolated and only come together in the middle. In each of their ways, I think they gave quite different interpretations to the ones you're used to in The Last 5 Years. Molly certainly was a very different type vocally to what you would normally hear. where Cathy is usually just this crazy belt fest, at least the way that Sherry Renee Scott originated it, the way that Lauren Samuels did it in the online version. I saw Lauren do it years ago at the Tabard as well. Betsy Wolfe has played this role before, Anna Kendrick in the movie, Sam Barks has played this role before, Lauren Kennedy originated it. Like, there's so many different high belting, amazing voices who have played this part. Molly Lynch is a classically trained soprano. She just finished understudying in The Light in the Piazza at the Royal Festival Hall. So her Cathy has a lot more mixing. It's a very different register, but it absolutely works, and the acting that she's doing to reinforce the vocal choices that she's making was just phenomenal. Special shout out to A Summer in Ohio, which is a crazy high belting song that's just become this like audition fodder, I think, for female belters in musical theatre. And she completely reinvented it with a Skype feed and a ukulele, and she was going around on this revolve, and she was just doing this like crazy quirky comedy thing. She's an excellent comedian. She was hilariously funny, and she was delivering it like she was Skyping Jamie and talking to him, which has been done before. But the way she was presenting it as this funny, like, vaudeville-y send-up of musical theatre was just really funny. My other favourite number in this revival was the one that Ollie performed when he performed the Shmuel song. I used to hate the Shmuel song when I was having to learn it. It's like 6 minutes long and it's strange and it has these modulations and you're changing between characters, and he was playing a guitar and he's climbing on top of a piano and he was moving stuff with a doll's house. And just to have survived that number without looking like he'd broken a sweat, I thought was incredible. He got a huge round of applause at the end of that. The audience really loved it. If you can escape that number with your life, you have done well. There was a really iconic moment in the middle of this production when they came together to perform the song essentially where they're getting married. It's called The Next 10 Minutes. This is the first time where they actually sing a duet and they sing at the same time and they're existing in the same moment and they can see each other and they are sharing the stage really fully. Now, what I realised as they're doing it, I've seen a couple of shows now and nobody has kissed, and I didn't realise, but I think that's actually part of the government legislation for onstage performances resuming, is they're actually not allowed to as part of the risk assessment they've done. So they didn't kiss at the culmination of their wedding song, which is normally what happens. Instead, they went for this massive embrace, this huge hug, and I cried even more than I normally would, because it was suddenly representative of this whole thing where we're all just desperate to hug each other, and to see a hug delivered with that kind of a passion and that kind of a knowing desperation and embrace was just really beautiful. I think a lot of the audience felt that as well. Or it was just me, crying in my little Perspex booth. This is the other thing about this production. So all social distancing measures were great. There was a socially distanced queue outside. They've moved the entrance. If you know Southwark Playhouse, it's slightly to the right of where it was before. They let everyone in one person at a time. They let you know where your seat is going to be. They send you to another queue. You get to do a bar order. Someone will come round to you and they bring your drinks to you. One of the great things about theatre going in the socially distant age is the service could not be better. Table service for beverages at a theatre. I mean, what else? What else can you really ask for? Drinks to your seat. Not that it's an ideal circumstance, obviously, but I could definitely get used to this. So when you get into the auditorium, it's normally made up of 3 rows sat around 3 sides of the stage. They've taken out the middle row, so it's just a front row, a gap, and then a back row. But between each seat, they have these Perspex screens. I went as a single theatre goer, story of my life. So I had 2 screens literally either side of me, like here, which wasn't so bad. I didn't feel they were oppressive. I'm quite small, it's worth saying. The only time, at one point I got too warm and I was trying to take off a cardigan while not like knocking the screens into the people sat either side of me. So I'm doing this slightly elaborate dance of trying to get changed while in a little Perspex booth. But as someone who likes going to the theatre and sharing experiences with other people, while at the same time not really liking other people that much, I thought it was great. I wish they'd had Perspex screens between audience members for years. More venues should have forced separation between people who don't know each other. Oh, I'm a terrible person. This is why I don't make new friends. It was really trippy though, sitting between Perspex screens, because the person sat next to me was just here. They were so close, but there was a screen and I'm trying desperately not to make eye contact because they'd be looking right at me. You got the experience of sitting next to someone and you could just forget that there was anything between you because they were super clean. It's the cleanest Perspex that I've ever seen in my life. Wild, whoever is doing the cleaning at Southwark Playhouse. Excellent job. And that meant you could just really enjoy the production and bask in it. It was such a beautiful version of the show that I love so much. They had such clever little touches with the way they accompanied each other. In the part where Cathy's auditioning and she says, "Why does this pianist hate me?" The guy who plays Jamie is playing the piano. In the parts where he is arguing with her, she is echoing his melody line on the piano. At the beginning, you have this haunting sort of empty melody. She's sitting at the piano playing the pedals and he's playing the keys over her shoulders in a sort of half hug thing, and then that's reversed. At the end, it's really clever. It's really, really clever. There's confetti comes down from the sky. There's a doll's house. There's a little mallet that comes out of the piano. They've really thought of everything. The attention to detail by the director, Jonathan O'Boyle, has just been insane on this production. It's what really takes it next level. And the good news is, as well as if you can manage to snag a ticket to the rest of the London run, it has been filmed and it's going to be streamed online in November. So make sure you watch this version of The Last 5 Years. I know there's been a lot recently and a lot of people have probably seen either the Minac version or the previous online version. This is so worth watching, I can't even tell you. If you're any kind of a theatre fan, this is a definitive reimagining of The Last 5 Years that you're going to wish you had seen, because people are going to be talking about it for a very long time. I wish nothing but the biggest success for this production. If you have any questions about The Last 5 Years at Southwark Playhouse, let me know in the comments section down below, or if you saw it for yourself, comment what you thought about the show. I hope you enjoyed today's new review video. If you did, make sure to subscribe to my channel where there are plenty of other reviews of shows that I've seen recently. Also, there's a lot more stagey content coming very soon, and I have so many shows booked in October and November, you guys. Not to make you jealous, but I am going to everything when it's reopening on the West End, probably on the first night it's reopening. My bank balance is really sad, but my soul is happy. And that's all that matters. I hope everyone is staying safe. I hope everyone is going to the theatre wherever possible to help support the industry. And I hope that you have a stagey day.
For 10 more seconds, I'm Mickey Joe Theatre. Oh my god, hey. Thanks for watching, have a stagey day. Subscribe!